Sandy, along with your husband, you operate the Cellar restaurant where we are right now. Can you tell us what we have in this building? It's very well appointed.
Well, the restaurant is a lot of salvage, a lot of reused, so there's a lot of voices from years past. I seat 60 to 75 in the front dining room, easily 40 in the back on the river. I have a 22-foot bar.
Since 2003, you were downstairs, where it was called the Cellar because that was the cellar.
Right. In 2003, it was the Cellar, and it was downstairs. In 04, 05, and 06, we suffered floods from the Susquehanna River and decided that that was no place left for us, so we moved up. We bought the building.
And you actually have, this used to be, I guess, 2 stores separately.
Right. This side that we're standing in was the top spot. The other side was the ladies' apparel.
And I noticed what you did was you made this area into the dining room and the other store into your bar.
Yes, and the bar area, we broke down the plaster and went all the way back to the brick to make it a little more rustic. This side, we kept the original horsehair plaster behind me and had a finish put on it. It's a 3-drag plaster layer, and it was done by a lady in Syracuse. So this side we made a little fancier.
Did you realize what a job this was going to be when you started?
Yes, I love it.
You like sledgehammers.
I love sledgehammers and interior design and painting, indeed, yeah.
And I noticed, I want to talk about the walls, these walls in the dining room. This is such a unique, what do you call it? What is that plaster?
It's called a 3-dragged plaster technique. You go down and rough it up, go back and rough it up, and then the third layer are the grapes, the stencil. And then it's all done with a paint and a sienna red glazing.
Oh, my goodness. Even the light fixtures are unique. Were these running around dumpsters on those or what?
No, they're hand forged in Vermont.
Very
and
nice.
Actually the wall was designed around those sconces. I found the sconces first and had to have them.
How do you find things like that? Do you put out a word, or does somebody call you up and say, Sandy, I found something?
Well, sometimes in the salvage, networking, and you call them and say, in the case of our antique bar, I looked and looked and looked, and then remembered a fellow that I've done some salvaging with, and he said, Sandy, I can't believe it, I have got a 19-foot bar back that I got 3 days ago, and he said, I haven't seen one in 3 years. So that was just meant to be.
This is truly recycling at its best.
Salvaging,
I mean, really, you call it a salvage, and yet these are items that you needed anyway.
Exactly.
When you were putting it together.
And they made them so much better back then.
Now, Bob is a chef, your husband.
Yes.
Okay, and so he does most of the cooking in the kitchen.
Yes.
Okay, now, how did you decide that you wanted to go into the restaurant business? This is probably the most stressful business that you. I mean, really, because people demand, and you have to produce and be consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why? Why the restaurant?
Well, I've waited tables since I was 17, and he's cooked since he was 17. It just. What else would we do? It's what we do. It's what we've always done. Okay.
Now, when you do what you do, that's your menu. And that sets apart from any other place. Let's talk about the menu. First, I guess we should point out that you do also dinners, where a lot of restaurants just do some lunches and they don't do dinner.
Right. Dinner is probably our forte, if you will. That's where Bob and I excel. We talked about the fresh product. No steaks are frozen here. He hand cuts them all. They come in, they go out.
In the steak category. In the steak category, yes. We have a filet mignon.
Right.
That you suggest.
Yes, and I'll have you taste.
Okay, now why are you suggesting that?
It's really unique. Bob is predominantly French. He's gone global in the fresher chutneys and whatnot, because French kind of gets a bad name of the heavy sauces. But we're both pretty. We're not heavy. We eat the cream and butter. But It's just real strong flavors, nice flavors, not strong. Blue cheese, peppercorn butter, and a red pepper pesto. So what we do with food is layer the flavors. You don't get one heavy taste. You get layers of flavor, and that's what you can do with freshness, and that's what you can do with chef-driven restaurants.
All right, now I want to go back to the filet mignon meat, because so many people figure that you get it from from the supplier and it's frozen and then you defrost it. This is not the case here.
No, none of our meat is frozen.
How do you get the meat?
Our meat comes in whole.
Ah.
It's the whole New York strip. It's the whole fillet of salmon, say. It's the whole tenderloin. Bob trims it all out, takes the appropriate amount of fat off, and then cuts it to portion and puts it in the fridge, sells it to you when you order it, and it doesn't ever go in the freezer because he's very good at what he does, and he orders very tight.
I noticed seafood on your menu, and I noticed sea scallops. Tell us about that. They don't come in frozen either.
No.
They don't come in walking either. But
no. People love our scallops, and one of the reasons is that we get a dry scallop, and the difference is most of them are pumped with water for the weight.
Oh, I see.
Or at least put in a preservative solution. Bob doesn't like any of those scallops, so his actually comes in a cloth bag, and it's called a dry scallop, and they're so sweet.
Wow.
Very, very good.
And barbecue. I noticed that on the menu as well, and the fact that Bob makes his own sauce, which must really be dynamite.
Yes, very, very good. His ribs fall off the bone. He does a dry rub, a slow roast, and then his own barbecue sauce, his own recipe. He doesn't copy anybody there. And as I've mentioned, we have gluten-free, which is important to people these days. There's a lot of people finding that they have that intolerance, and we know that diet very, very well. We had a wonderful man that taught us his, and he was not just slightly celiac. He was fatally ill. He would have gotten, and he helped us through his diet, and so we learned it back probably 10 years ago.
Well, now, how do you find what to do with certain dishes? Does Bob come to you and say, "Sandy, try this, tell me what you think"?
Oh yeah, I'm probably his hardest critic too. Everybody else will say, "Oh, it's good." I'll say,
"Oh, yes, lady."
No, it's very no, I'm not. No, we trial. You try things. And if there's something that doesn't quite fit, you push that out and you put something else in. But as I say, he's a natural. What he lands usually is straight on. We have a chicken dish that, again, fresh chicken breast, never frozen, that is marinated in a chipotle, which is a little spicy, but not overbearing, because he knows where the point is of too much. And he puts it on a bean salad. I don't even care for beans, with a watermelon salsa. And I thought, exactly. I thought, how is that going to go? And I tried it. It's excellent. It's just excellent. I don't know how he makes it happen. It really does come out quite well.
Very good. Now, of course, we cannot forget dessert, because that does end the meal. So tell us what type of desserts you feature.
We feature a rice pudding. The recipe was from 20 years ago. Same recipe. People love it. And Bob makes a fresh vanilla bean creme brulee that people really, really like. He's also made cheesecake for many years, and he does quite well with that. He makes as many as he can, but being a one-man band, he just accomplishes what he can.
But it will be made here.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yes.
Anything that comes out of the kitchen is made here.
There are a few desserts we bring on premise. There are a few, as I say, with one chef. Our dream is to have an on-premise baker. Not quite yet. Maybe next year.
Well, let's talk about what you do at the restaurant, because you evidently have various special events that go on, and Wednesday nights is pretty special.
Yes, we've developed Tuesday and Wednesday night into pub night. They're a lighter fare. They're served on the porch, and they're sandwiches, homemade sandwiches, and flatbread pizzas. And we feature music, so we're always doing something different to keep our guests interested and finding out what's going on.
And during of course, you're open year-round.
Yes.
And you have this beautiful porch that's enclosed, which means it can be heated and cooled.
Absolutely. We do a lot of private parties out there. That's available for private parties. We serve our lunches out there, and as I say, select evenings.
Now, if someone wants more information, best place to go, I would assume, is your website.
Yes. Yes, and that's thecellarrestaurant.net.